How's it going, everybody? This is Dominic Minchella. I am the Kansas City Chiefs beat writer on SI and the host of the Kansas City Chiefs Insider Podcast. Thank you guys so much for stopping in today. We are going to be continuing on with our Kansas City Chiefs expectations for the 2025 NFL campaign. And we're going to be covering a player that I could have sworn I've talked about before, but I'm now looking back, I have yet to talk about him. So that's going to be running back Isiah Pacheco. I know we've talked about Pacheco a ton on this podcast series since day one. He is a hot commodity topic, at least for the expectations that I've got for him going forward. But before we dive into that, just some housekeeping things as I continuously remind you guys. Training camp for the Kansas City Chiefs is right around the corner. They start on the 21st of July, with their first practice being the 22nd. Goes until mid-August. That means Kansas City Chiefs football is right around the corner. You got to get your popcorn ready for their preseason games, if some watch that, because a little before we know, week one is going to be right around the corner against the Los Angeles Chargers in Sao Paulo, Brazil. But without further ado, let's go into the expectations that I have for Isiah Pacheco in his fourth season. First off, I want to touch on the fact that I think that if he has a good year, the Chiefs kind of have to, or at least in my expectations, I expect them to bring Pacheco back on a 1-year deal again. Should it be like a prove-it deal? As we know, the former seventh rounder is on his last season contract with the Kansas City Chiefs, rather. And his first 2 years, he showed progression. Last year, though, he took kind of a step back, and it's not a tiny step back. It was a large step. But also, that's not necessarily due to him, his fault, due to injury. But when he was on the field, he just didn't look like Isiah Pacheco. So if he does have a good season this year, I'm expecting the Chiefs to want to bring him back. A lot of people in the Chiefs kingdom love Isiah Pacheco. He's a guy that you can root behind. And his focus this offseason has kind of shown it. He's been getting better both physically and mentally. He went back to college to get his degree in something that he's a National Football League player. He doesn't have to go back to get his degree, but that's something that was really important to him. And that in itself is kind of setting him up in a way that increases my expectations for what he's going to do in 2025. Because here's the real truth. The Kansas City Chiefs, their running back room needs an uplift. It's got two guys on a 1-year deal in Kareem Hunt and Elijah Mitchell. You got a rookie in Brashard Smith who's likely going to be, figuring out his ways throughout this season, and he's not going to kind of blossom, or at least we don't think, into a major positional role. Then you got a guy like Carson Steele. He's another option, but he's not going to jump out, at least from the season one that we saw. Steele was a good guy to use in situational appearances, But Pacheco, he's on the 1-year deal, but he's also semi-affordable should the Chiefs want to bring him back. But with that all being said, he needs to have a good season. And I would say I'm fully expecting Isiah Pacheco to have one of the best seasons of his career. I know that it's a large expectation. We're talking about a guy who I believe might get close to 1,000 rushing yards. In his career thus far, he has yet to touch 1,000 rushing yards. His first season, he had 830 rushing yards and 170 carries, And 205 carries in his second season in 2023. He topped that and had 935 rushing yards. A guy 2 years ago had 7 touchdowns. Last year, 310 and 83 carries. 1 touchdown. Pacheco is still young. He's a guy that's going to be able to be a piece in this Chiefs offense so long as they want to keep him around. And the only way that he can stay around is to have a good season. It's going to be difficult if he doesn't, because the Chiefs are going to be in a situation where their running back room is going to have to be addressed again come free agency or come the NFL draft. You would like to assume, or you would predict, that Kareem Hunt, this would kind of be his last stint with Kansas City. Elijah Mitchell, he could, depending on the season that he has and all that. Rashard Smith is a guy that they're going to have to bank on, and you're going to want more depth. If Isiah Pacheco can get close to over 200 or close to or over 200 carries and get close to or over 1,000 rushing yards, score 7, 8, 9, 10 touchdowns, that is a good season, and I think that it's going to very much increase the running game that the Chiefs have lacked in tremendously. I understand that last season was really bad in a sense of the ground game. Kareem Hunt had a majority of the carries and the runs and all that. But even then, when Pacheco was on the field, and the carries that he had, it wasn't necessarily explosive. He had the lowest average rushing yards per attempt last season, less than 4 yards on average. He was 3.7. This is a guy we've seen bring in more than 50 first downs in a season before. He's a guy who's trusted with the ball in his hands. He's not going to fumble all that often unless he gets overpowered by defenders. I think that the way that Isiah Pacheco, his contract is laid out currently, he's a relatively inexpensive guy, and if he's able to show the franchise that took a chance on him that he still has what it takes, he's still sub 30 years of age, I think that a multi-year deal could be in the works, but it all rides on 2025. So I don't want to talk down on Pacheco. I still believe in this guy. A late round pick who's shown that he's like the underdog story that everyone loves to root for. A late round pick who's shown that he can be productive in the NFL is impressive as is. However, if there isn't the kind of production that he got in 2023, in 2025, it might be time for the Kansas City Chiefs to kind of move past that. We've seen guys in the Chiefs organization kind of take their talents and go elsewhere after 4 years. It's a case where it happens more often than not. Depending, though, if he does have a good season and the running back need is still at large, I expect Isiah Pacheco to be a Chief in 2026. But it all rides on 2025. That being said, though, ladies and gentlemen, be sure to follow me over on X at Dom Minchella, where I post and repost every single day. You're not going to want to miss anything as we get closer and closer to 2025 campaign, with training camp right around the corner, as I talked about earlier. If you don't want to follow me, you can follow our page at KC Chiefs on SI, where all of our stories get published. You're up to date beat writing all the time. Free, 100% free. You're not going to want to miss it. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, be kind to one another, and I'll see you tomorrow.